Join us live every Thursday at 10 a.m. on the Sherry Lord Show. This is the Holistic Approach Podcast with weekly guests, doctors, chiropractors, and so much more gather. Go to www.sherrylord.com. Join us live every Thursday at 10 a.m. on the Sherry Lord Show. This is an interesting day, but it's also awesome. Thank you for joining us today every Thursday at 10 a.m. on the Holistic Approach. I'm your influencer host, Sherry Lord, and we want to remind everybody to place your paid ad with us. And for more information, go to www.sherrylord.com. And we have a very, very, very special guest, and we're so excited to have her. Her name is Ruta McGhan, and we are so excited. And the reason we're excited is because she's talking about something that just blew my mind, and I've never heard of it before. It's called ear seeding, and this is going to be really interesting as an alternative holistic approach to anxiety, stress, and so much more. Now, Pat, I've known for a very long time, probably over 20 years. This is the first time I've heard of ear seeding. She's the owner of Nature's Balance, holistic energy healing opportunity. She created Nature Balance about 30 years ago to help others move into a place as pure and free as the energy of nature and living in nature and natural balance. She loves helping others move from a physical or emotional limitation like pain or lack of self-confidence into their divine grace blueprint of radiant energy, flowing with vitality in body, mind, and spirit. She's also does the grace blueprint of radiant energy flowing with vitality, body, mind, and spirit. She incorporated a channel template of divine grace into all of her healing work and draw upon her additional skills. She's got from Eden energy, medicine, practitioner, Reiki, reflexology, and ear seeding, and so much more. Welcome, Pat, to our show. Welcome. And
Hi, Sherry. Thank you.
Hi. What is ear seeding? That's the first time I've seen it on your page on the social media, and it really drew my attention. Can you explain a little bit about you and about how this all unfolded? I remember you from reflexology. I remember taking a class. I enjoyed it. And you're really creative and very in tune for what people's needs are. You created products, you've done a lot of things. So how did this ear seeding unfold for you?
Well, it's a really exciting avenue to help people heal when other things either aren't helping or they come in for maybe a monthly session, but they just need a little bit more boost during the month between their sessions. And I was looking for something that they could take home with them, and it wouldn't be a lot of trouble for them to implement. So with ear seeding, it's basically ear reflexology. So
Wow.
If we do a foot reflexology session, then I can do the ear reflexology with these little seeds that I'm going to show you later. And they will be getting a therapeutic treatment as long as those seeds are in place. So they go home after the reflexology, and then they have ear reflexology working for the next 5 days.
Wow.
Ideally, if it's a chronic condition, they'll come back and they'll reseed every week until the condition heals. But it's just a supplemental methodology, and it also works from a different avenue. This works through the nerve pathway and communicates very quickly and directly with the brain, the nerves in the brain. So it's sending messages to the brain for that body part, and then the brain makes adjustments to bring it to balance and sends that out to the body part. So there have been some amazing, very quick results. Some things take longer, but I have found it to be a great addition to my practice. I'm just so excited.
What are some of the results that you have seen personally? We don't have to give any names or anything, but just situations that you've seen how it's helped people in their lives.
Well, yes, and I want to be careful to not, give too many details that would make somebody uncomfortable. But one of my most amazing sessions, I was at a big conference. I seated over 600 people, and one person came to me, and these were pretty fast sessions. So there was, a walk-by booth. And so the lady came for, I think, stress and anxiety, but she didn't give a lot of detail. So I seated, and part of ear seating is that the ear is a map of what is going on with your body. So there are signs. It might be a red spot, it might be veins, it might be a bump, some type of differentiation on the ear that lets you know that this is a really important area that's going on for that person. So in addition to doing a couple of points for anxiety for her, I read her ear, and I did a couple of additional points. I just go by what I'm guided to do. So every case is different. And she came back the next day, and it was like a totally different person. She was radiant and happy, and she filled me in on the details of her life that I had no clue about the day I seated her, the day before. She said it was the first time she had slept in months.
Wow.
She had had some very personal trauma with family members, and just really, really rough stuff to go through. And I didn't seat her for sleep. I just seated her for stress and anxiety and a couple of other places to help bring balance. And she was so grateful just to get some relief. And I think that's one of the huge blessings about this type of, or any of the holistic practices, but to bring hope to somebody. And it's a modality that for some reason can kind of, go in between the cracks where some of the other modalities don't seem to reach. And I think it's because you are seating some of the nerves that are interacting directly with the brain and how it functions. So there's not a one size fits all. It's not going to heal everything. It's not a miracle silver bullet. For some people, for tinnitus, for example, I have not had, that much of a result, although that's something that you have to keep seating for week after week. But for other cases, it's just been amazing. And for the people that it helps, it makes such a difference, because a lot of times people just give up. They think, I'm just not going to get past this. I've had it for too long. So,
Wow.
Should I tell you all about how it works?
Yeah. Want me to bring up the slide?
Yeah, let's start with the slide. So,
hey, you guys, this is a blessing. This is a blessing that I was able to get this up here. So I'm not used to this. So it's for stress and anxiety. I'm going to go to slide 2, and you just tell me when to turn the page.
All right. So I picked stress and anxiety because that's, underlies almost all disease and imbalance, and it's so prevalent, and who can't use a little bit of help with stress and anxiety. But the intelligent design of our body is just phenomenal. It's amazing. So we have a lot of microsystems in the body, and for example, with foot or hand reflexology, which people are more familiar with, you've got a body part that reflects the whole body. So depending on what area you work on with the fingers or the toes or the foot, you can bring healing to the whole body. So let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
And the ear is one of those microsystems. So and it doesn't matter the details. I don't know how well that shows up. That's a lot of information, but there are a lot of points on the ears that correspond to not only the physical body, but also emotions and patterns of thinking. So this dates back to ancient times, like so many of our holistic modalities, goes back to India and to China. But it really got rediscovered in the 1950s by Dr. Paul Noget in France. He was looking for a non-invasive way, a drug-free way to bring relief to people who had things like sciatica and other issues that were difficult to treat with the kind of medicine that we had back then. So let's go to the next slide. And I hope this illustration, Yeah, I think you can see that fairly well. So what he discovered and what the ancients knew is that the microsystem of the ear is an upside down fetus, and you've got the head down in the lobe of the ear, in the bottom of the ear. I don't know if this is going to show.
Yeah, I can see it.
But down in the bottom is the head, and then you've got the spine that curves around the this ridge of the ear, and then you've got the feet and the hands, because that baby is all curled up at the top. So if you superimpose that image in your head over the ear, then you can pretty much approximate where every part would be that you would want to work with, even if you don't know the exact parts or the exact point to use. So let's go to the next slide. So to make this a more systematic practice to work with, the ear is divided into different zones, and each of those zones corresponds to a different body area. For example, in that little point that sticks up over your ear, that's the tragus, and that would be the brain area. So we've got different parts of the brain, like the hippocampus or the forebrain or the temple. So let's go to the next slide. And let's talk about what ear seeding is. So ear seeds are these tiny little seeds, these little actual seeds from a plant. This is going back to the ancient times, the original ear seeding, which is also called Auricutherapy, which is the therapy through the ear. And we still use those seeds today. They're from the Vacaria hispanica plant, which is a soapwort plant found in Europe and in China. And they're covered by a little bit of surgical latex-free tape. So you can put these little seeds over the different corresponding body parts, and you're going to wear those for 5 days. And while they're on your ear, at least 3 times a day, you're going to gently press them. That activates them a little bit more. They're still activating constantly while they're on there, but you're just kind of waking the system up, just a kind of a little bit more of a reminder. And then through the 5 days that you wear them, that is sending signals through the nerve pathway to the brain, and then the brain is sending that to that body part. But you can see these stick on the outside, and they're not exactly, aesthetically attractive. So let's look at the next slide. And you'll see this tiny little gold pellet. And this is doing the same thing, but instead of a seed, it's a 24-karat gold plated little pellet. And it is covered with, again, a latex-free, but it's translucent. So when you see the picture on the other side, you see just these little gold beads sticking out, which is really kind of fun and cool. Looks a lot less
looks nice.
Medical than the Band-Aid type of tape. So let's look at the next slide. And you can see also we can make it a lot of fun. So on the right, we've got Swarovski crystals that are connected to that little gold pellet on the inside. So the gold pellet is connected to your ear, and then the crystal sits on top. And we can have lots of fun with this. It can be a clear, sparkly crystal. It can be a colored crystal. It can be, the image of a tree or a heart, or you can put anything you want on top of the ear seed and really dress it up. So you can make it a lot more fun. So it's a way that you can really add a lot of fun, a lot of mystique, but also having healing occur, which is really, really cool. Okay, so let's look at the next slide.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you can see here, so you can see on the right, I've seated somebody for their chakras, and you can see the different colors for the different chakras. And then on the left, this is another kind of conventional protocol, but we use the crystals. So you know, the sky's the limit. The only thing with these a little bit more blingy ones is that you have to be a little bit more careful not to knock the bling off when you're activating your ear seeds. So, okay, well, let's get into some of the nitty gritty of how it all works. We'll go to the next slide. So the ear forms out of the brain in the embryo at about 18 weeks. So it's actually, the ear is coming out of the brain material. So it makes sense that the ear is very closely connected to the nerve pathways in the brain because that's where it came from. So how it works is that the nerve endings are stimulated on the ear. That goes directly to the brain very quickly. And then, as I said before, then the brain makes adjustments to the body because it's getting messages like send balance here. So it produces homeostasis. So if you're too low in something, it elevates it. If you're too high in something, it brings it down. It normalizes. So the cool thing is that you don't have to worry about too much or too little because the brain is bringing that balance and there is no too much or too little. So let's look at the next slide. We'll look at some of the benefits of doing ear seeding. Oops. Oh, I guess my slides are in a different order. Well, nope, that's fine. We will, I must have, my little printout here is, but so there's over 150 conditions that can be treated with ear seeding, and it can include more complicated things like weight loss. I've seen really great results with headaches and migraines, any kind of pain. I have seen some pretty dramatic improvement. And there's other things that take longer, like vision health, PTSD. You can seed for those kind of chronic, deeper conditions, but you're going to have to keep following up and keep doing it. It's not going to disappear overnight. So, for example, for myself, the first time I live in Michigan, and I drove to Boston to see my daughter, and I had neck, shoulder, and hip pain. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a long drive being in pain. So I seeded for those areas, and I got in the car and I took off, and about an hour, 2 hours down the road, all of a sudden I realized I didn't have any pain. So this was the first time I had seeded for my neck, shoulder, and hip. So I was very excited. I took a long route. I had a lot of stops on the way before I got to Boston. So by the time you get to the 5th day, at the end of the 5th day, you take the seeds out and you let your ear rest for 1 to 2 days so that the nerves have time to just equilibrize. So I took the seeds off, and all of a sudden that neck, shoulder, and hip pain came back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So I waited my day, and then I reseeded, and that pain went away again. So that was my body letting me know that the ear seedings were really being effective. They were in the right places doing something for my body, but they weren't done yet. When I took the seeds off, it was a loud message from my body, like, wow, you know, I need more attention. So I ended up seeding about 6 weeks. Every week I reseeded for neck, shoulder, and hip pain. And each one fell off at a different time. I don't remember the order now, but let's say that the neck pain went away first, and a couple more weeks the shoulder pain was totally gone, and then a couple more weeks the hip pain was gone. So then I was able to go months without having to seed for that. But those are chronic stress areas for me. So periodically I will get one of those pains back, and then I just seed for it, and it goes away again. So it's very interesting how it works. The same thing for migraines. People can get pretty quick relief in a lot of cases, but it's the kind of thing that they're going to have to go back and seed or reseed. And I like to inform my clients when I work on them and show them. I give them a picture of their ear that I label, and I encourage them. They can pinch those areas of the ear where the seed used to be if they don't have the seed on, and they're bringing some therapeutic relief. And I also encourage people, if they aren't able to get in every week, to to get some seeds, and they can start seeding themselves too, which is the ultimate goal, is to have people working on their own healing. It's great to get help, but it's also nice to be able to help yourself too. So let's look at the next slide. So here's the slide I thought was coming next. So the benefits, so it is, as I've said, it's holistic, meaning that it treats the body in a way that all of the systems start getting what they need, whatever they were missing. So we might be seeding for pain, but the body knows what healing to do besides just pain relief. So that's the holistic part. And it brings it towards balance, the homeostasis. They're very simple to use. To learn to do at home, you do have to practice a little. It's a little awkward, try to find little places in your ear, but I learned for myself, everybody else can too. And if you get the seed in the wrong place, it's not going to do anything, disruptive. And then you just try again and add another seed. This can supplement other treatment therapies. I find that this, like I said at the beginning, this I use for my Eden Energy clients. I use for my foot reflexology clients. So if they come in for a stiff neck and we do the energy work, then I put the seeds on so that when they leave, they're getting additional supplemental help for their condition. This is great for people that are not comfortable with acupuncture needles, because these are just taped on. So, you're not getting needles. You can also have auriculotherapy done with needles by acupuncturists, but this is a way that you can wear the seeds for 5 days and you don't have to worry about having a needle if you're, I love acupuncture, I get that too, but some people are afraid of needles. This is really affordable too. For reseeding, I charge a lower amount because I don't have to put the diagnosis into the reseed treatment. I am just seeding for what we already decided we needed to treat. There are very rare side effects other than the fact that your ear can get tender, and that lets you know that those are the seeds that are really doing a lot. So sometimes people can't wear them the whole 5 days. Sometimes we have to build up to that. And so their ear may get, I encourage people to keep them on if it's just tender, if they can tolerate it, because it's helping them heal. But if it's really uncomfortable, they can take it off, whenever, they're in charge. And then we'll go more slowly. We'll plan on 3 days instead of 5 days and see if we can build up. And some people are just more sensitive and maybe they'll never wear them for 5 days, but that's okay, because everybody is unique and we're treating for their uniqueness. And then again, we're treating through a different system. We're treating through the nerve pathway system, and that is a system that is not very often therapeutically addressed. So this can help, like before surgery, for helping somebody relax, or for coming out of. Another great case I had was helping treat somebody for nausea she was undergoing chemotherapy. And, what a blessing to be able, she chose, and she had to go through her, her chemotherapy. She had, a serious case of cancer, but we were able to seed and help her tolerate that treatment better. So there's a lot of applications. So let's look at the next slide, and we'll talk about how to do that. So basically, all you have to do is use rubbing alcohol and clean the surface of the ear, because they won't stick if the ear is oily or if there's little flakes. Let that dry. And then you're taking tweezers and you just peel the seed off of its little packet that it comes in. And then you just place it on the spot. It helps if you look at the picture and look in the mirror, find the place with one finger, and then you can use the tweezers and get it in the right place. And then you just press it, and that's done. So, takes just a second for each seed. Okay, and the next slide, I think, is our last slide. Yeah, so So I've given a couple of examples. These are, it looks simple, but you know, sometimes just 3 to 5 seeds is highly effective. Other people, I'll use a lot more seeds, but it's amazing what you can do. And sometimes I think you're drawing a little bit more attention from the brain if you just keep it simple to a couple of seeds. So on the left, we have anxiety. And that upper red dot on the ear, that is the Shenmen, and that is a master point. So this is a spirit gateway, and it activates, it makes all of the other points in the ear more sensitive to the ear seeding effects. And it is a huge stress reducer. So Shenmen, think of it as just keeping yourself more in that spiritually guided state. And so just by itself, Shenmen is an amazing point. And I use that on every client. And then you'll see on the left ear again, still for anxiety, I've done the tranquilizer point, which is down at the bottom above the lobe. And that has been another very effective point. People can often feel that when they're still sitting in my ear seating chair. They'll just feel the bliss kind of coming in. They'll feel relaxation. So these 2 points alone are something I would encourage people to try on their own. I mean, you can easily tell, you know, by the anatomy of the ear, just you're pinching just above that little lobe in the ear, and then up in the upper part of the ear. So give it a try with your fingers, you know, see what you feel. And then on the right, I've got another simple but very effective protocol for stress. And that is under the ear flap. It's kind of hard to tell in the visual, but that's an open circle, meaning it's a hidden point. And that is on the sympathetic, parasympathetic point. So much of our body functions are part of our subconscious. You know, we don't have to spend time thinking about, okay, beat my heart, take a breath, raise my temperature, lower my temperature. It's all automatic. So this point is really great for people that have been under stress for a longer time, because their automatic pilot has been so, you know, jiggered up for so long. Sometimes the body needs a reminder on how to relax and put the body functions back into a relaxed state. They've been in fight or flight for a long time, and it's kind of gotten embedded. They're in a rut. So by seating sympathetic, it helps bring the heart rate to a normal flow. It helps with the blood pressure. It helps with the breathing. Breathing is so important when people are under stress. And again, I would add Shenmen. It's not in the picture, but I do add that to everything. So a combination of the sympathetic, parasympathetic point and Shenmen, those 2 are going to bring a lot of balance. And then because people that are in fight or flight for a while, they're producing a lot of cortisol, and then they can't sleep because the cortisol is too high. They have a lot of anxiety. They go into adrenal fatigue because they're running on adrenaline. And because they're tired, then they're drinking coffee, which depletes the adrenal gland even more. So seeing the adrenal gland point, which also helps regulate cortisol, is another big point for helping people come out of long-term anxiety and start to normalize their body. So these are just a couple of examples of how simple it can be to seed. You're talking 2 to 3 points, but I have seen very quick results, very deep results. I have one client, she was talking to her long-distance aunt, and her aunt said she was going to send her some money for ear seeding. She goes, I can tell you need ear seeding. And she comes for seeding for stress. So she just said she feels, you know, she said she has no energy, and then she gets seated and she feels happy and less stress. She's taking care of a chronically ill relative in her home. And she said she can do her housework. The day she gets seated, she just has so much energy. She could just fly around and get so much done. So alleviating the anxiety, the stress, but then also lifting her up out of depression so that she has energy.
This has been fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much, Pat. This has been very educational, but it's been fantastic to know that there's another modality out there, another way. And I really got a lot out of it myself. So I just want to say thank you for your expertise and all you do. And is there anything else you'd like to share? And then we also want to know is how can people get a hold of you? They want to know more information about it because this is new to a lot of people. I mean, I didn't even hear about it till I saw you on Facebook and you had advertised, and I thought, what is ear seeding? You know, so let's get her on our show.
Yeah.
She needs to share this and explain what this is, and we're so happy to have you. So is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I'm at naturesbalance.us, and you can reach out that way. Or I think on the your presentation had my phone number. You can text, and I'm happy to do consultations over the phone, or we can set up a video type of a thing. You have to be willing and game for putting in your own ear seeds, and just get in touch. I would love to connect with anybody who's interested in finding out more.
And they can also, if they're in your area, if they want to fly to your area, you are in Michigan, you're in Cadillac, and where's your facilities that people who are in that area who want to go to that area can find you as well? You can do it through the phone, but you can also do it in person. So do you have an area where people can go to find you?
Yes, I have a studio in Cadillac, Michigan, and you can just go to naturesbalance.us and make an appointment, and that'll give you the little map. It's out in the country, so you need a little map to get here, probably. And then I'm also at the Higher Self in Traverse City a couple of Saturdays a month, and that is in Traverse City, right downtown, which is very easy to get to and a lot of fun to visit. So that's northern Michigan, the lower peninsula, but northern Michigan. And I'd love to see people. I think it is fun to have somebody else seed you, especially in the beginning. So it takes the worry out of finding the right spots. And look for, you can go on earseeds.com.
Yes.
And look for a practitioner in your area too. Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's a good thing to know. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We just love the wealth of information we received. And now we understand what ear seeding is and the benefits that it has. And we appreciate you. She is excellent. You definitely want to get a hold of her. She's great, and she's very gifted intuitively and psychically as she does her work. So thank you so much, Pat, for being on our show. And you can also, we have her information, and you can click on it to get to her website at www.sherrylord.com. And for upcoming guests that are coming on, you can see them there. But if you need to get a hold of Pat, it is on here as you watch our show. And it's also on the website. And like she said, you can go to her directly. So we just want to say thank you for watching us, and thanking Pat from our heart to yours for being on our show and sharing what to us, educating us, giving us information what ear seeding is. Thank you again, and thanking all the wonderful people who are watching us and who join us. Thank you all. Have a blessed, prosperous life.